Good morning. Can you all hear me? This better?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming. This is an odd presentation, but I have the help of George Kirkham, who most of you know, member of the Hall of Fame here at ATHS, lifetime member. His daughter Shelby, who was here a minute ago, is on the board of directors. This is a great organization. You know it better than I do. But I've been, a member for a while. I went to the Springfield show. I don't travel all over the country for the show, but have a lot of fun. We drove through the lot yesterday and saw trucks that I just can't believe. I'm the historian for international, most recently Navistar. I was involved in the rebranding to get us back. People didn't know the Navistar name, and we finally figured that out. Corporate finally figured that out when most of the world knew it. I've been with the company for 14 years. This is my second career. I spent 40 years in Chicago as a graphic designer. I was working for Navistar's ad agency in 2005 when they asked us to do a history book for them. So as the creative director with a team of about 10 people, I spent 2 years working on this book, Milestones, a history of the company. I didn't write it, I didn't research it, but I worked with collectors, I worked with photographers. By the time the book was published in 2007, I was just hooked on the history. I just was amazed at what this company had done. It became my hobby. In the evenings, my wife was doing her genealogy, and I was studying this company. In 2011, the company was going to create a museum, and they asked me if I would come to work for them as a content expert. Well, I was hardly a content expert, but they tried 2 or 3 other people, and I think I was the third choice. But I took the job, and I've stayed with it, and I've learned a lot, mostly by reaching out to other people. I know experts on tractors. I know experts like George on trucks, who's the expert. I have a list of maybe 20 people that I go up to for help. And in this community, everybody helps. In 14 years, I asked one guy who said to me, "Sure, I'll help you, $50 an hour." And I said, "Hey, no thanks. I'll figure it out on my own." And he called back a week later and said, "Okay, I'll help you. Just what do you need?" So this, I can show you with slides, but there's dozens of books on our tractor history, International Harvester tractors, and dozens on the truck history. Nobody's ever looked at our engine business, and it's crazy. So in 2023, marketing came to me and said, "We're opening a new engine plant in Alabama, and we'd like to do a timeline of our engine business history." So I went to work on it. I'll show you. I have envisioned a timeline on a wall about 42 feet high at eye level, and you could walk along and read it. Apparently that isn't what they were looking for, but they saw my first 2 layouts and said, "Continue on, we'll cherry pick from your long list." So I'll show you what happened, but it was a really fun project, maybe my best project I've had in 14 years. Met all kinds of new people that were engine experts that I'd never known before. So it's odd. It's who we built engines for, who we purchased engines from, how we built crazy versions of engines, how we mounted engines backwards and tilted sideways. And it's probably not serious history, but I think, entertaining history. So, George, do you want to say anything?
Let the show begin.
No.
Tommy is the hardest working guy that I know that's preserved international history. And when I met him, 15 years ago, I says, I'll help you, but I want something back every now and again. You got to throw me an old picture of a truck or something. And we've had a great relationship because Shelby, my daughter, has done a lot of stuff, scanning our brochures and my own collection of stuff, which I've very graciously shared with Tom. And we both think the same way of, it's a great company. My dad was a zone manager for 39 and a half years with International. I've been a dealer for been in the business 48 years, been a dealer for 40 years, so I'm pretty single focused. So don't be afraid to ask us some questions. So, maybe at the end, don't ever think we know everything, because we don't.
No, we really don't, and I especially. It's embarrassing, especially to this crowd, but I've never changed the oil in my own automobile. So I am the least technical person probably on the grounds here today. But I work with the stories. I work with the photos. And so I hope this is interesting.
He's pretty passionate, believe me. He's a pain in my ass most of the time. But I'm just saying.
So the truth sneaks out here once in a while. Yeah. Okay, so these are just people I need to thank. Sally from the archives here in Madison was going to be here, but is having issues back at the archives. George and Shelby, a guy I'd never met before, Eric Best, a guy in Indiana, has just an amazing collection of old tractors and just a true expert on engines. My friend Vaughn Allen, who worked for the company for 40 years, put me in touch with a number of these people. A guy named Stephen Hyde, who was sold engines all over the world. Jim Allen, the guy who wrote the Scout book, probably knows technically more about our engines than anybody. Dan Kennedy put me in touch with a number of people. Howard Pletcher in Fort Wayne knows a lot. Those are the people at the bottom that I work with a lot. Heather Street is the one who started me on this project, and Chris Chaconis is my new boss. It's interesting to work for young people who are half your age, but I'm not proud. If they're smart, I enjoy it. I have no problem with that. So this is how I started my idea of the timeline. I thought this was about 42 inches tall, and you would walk along beside it. And I thought I could pack a lot of information in there. And I showed it to them, and they said, no, we're going to do something different. We're going to make big images and fewer images. And I said, well, okay, I can adjust to that. And they said, no, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll pick through what you've done. And so this is what the end product looked like in our plant in Alabama. I like it. It's fine. It's just, it has 5% of the information that I put together.
We both learned. We both learned a lot doing that project, because there's a lot of stuff I didn't know, and you didn't know.
So this is kind of what we're looking at here. Oddball facts. I mean, all the history's here, but some of the really things you'd never imagine are also here. I'm not going to go through the whole history. We're starting with the harvester era in 1902 because before that time we didn't have any engines, and we go up through today. So we were purchased, International, or Navistar was purchased by Volkswagen in 2021, which has been a godsend because we were having financial difficulties, and now we are not. They're helping us fund new products and new plants. So you can see how we fit in all of this. We're over here on the right at the bottom, the new International logo. But it's a big company. It's the second largest automotive company in the world. So starting here, even before International Harvester, we were building, we never built a steam tractor, but we built a lot of prototypes. So we were working with steam engines, and only once put a steam engine in any finished product. Even before the merger, we were battling with our chief competitor, Deering, and we had a competition at the 1900 World's Fair. Cyrus Jr. found out that Deering was building some kind of auto mower, and so he instructed Ed Johnston, our head engineer at the bottom there, to build something. And in the competition, ours won. Now that engine wasn't our own. I don't know where he got it from, but our engineering was, we could disengage our cutting blade in tall, wet grass, and Deering couldn't, so theirs would stall. So we won the competition. And here, I'm not gonna give you much of this, but International Harvester was the merger of 5 reaper makers. After the merger, we had an 85% market share in the farm equipment business. That led to a big antitrust lawsuit eventually. And by 1920, we were the 5th largest company in the United States. These are the people that put the deal together. John D. Rockefeller was a family friend. His daughter, Edith, married Cyrus McCormick's second oldest son, Harold. Rockefeller said, I want you to work with a friend of mine, J.P. Morgan. He'll put the deal together financially for you. And you know, Chase Bank today is part of J.P. Morgan. Morgan appointed a guy named George Perkins to run the merger, to do all the detail work. Perkins figured out that 3 of the 5 companies had holdings overseas, so he named the company International. And Clarence Funk, the guy on the right, the gangster-looking guy, he was appointed to keep the Deerings and the McCormicks apart. They fought, if they ever saw each other, they fought. It was really, really ugly. Eventually, Rockefeller loaned the McCormicks $5 million, and they bought out the Deerings and went on to run the company. Before the merger, both companies, Deering and McCormick, had engineers experimenting with motorized buggies. That's Johnston's on the right. You can see both of them have a tiller for steering, not even a steering wheel. And they're both left-hand drive, I think. Or right-hand drive, George.
Right-hand drive.
Right-hand drive. So that's our first engine there on the left in 1904, first gasoline engine. And it, we made it in different sizes. It did all kinds of work, irrigation work, belt powering almost anything. Johnston took one of those engines and put it on a wheeled platform and created our first tractor. And our first tractor, I'll show you in a minute, was the name tractor comes from the words traction engine. So in one of our engine catalogs, it's 48-page catalog, there's 1 page dedicated to a tractor. So the tractor kind of came on from the engine business. So here's our first tractor. And I could not figure out how we could just jump in. And that guy, Eric Best, in Indiana, he explained to me that the Wellman Seaver Morgan company helped us with cylinders and sleeves, and Waukesha also helped us build an engine, cast an engine block. We eventually bought Waukesha, I think you know, in 1946 and sold it in 2015, but long relationship with that company. Here's our first automobile or truck layout from the top. It's an air-cooled engine. It sits below the driver's seat. Chain-driven. I mean, I suppose you know most of this, but beautiful vehicles. They're sturdy. I've ridden in one of those early auto wagons with 3 other guys, and we went up and down hills, and it was, I don't know, it was interesting. No seat belts, you had to hang on for dear life. We went up over curbs, but it, very cool truck. These early engines did everything, with water pumps, with a washing machine on your back porch, everything with a belt and pulley system.
Is the stationary engines, are those the hit and miss, or are those 4-stroke?
I don't know.
Those are hit and miss.
Yep. And here's an early engine catalog. So we had horizontal and vertical engines. We had 2 brands, Victor and Famous. Here are the vertical versions of those. And here's, what, page 31 in an engine catalog, this thing called a tractor shows up for the first time. So it's just another engine to the company at that point. Those engines were, some put on wheeled platforms and used for, big jobs. So here, in part of that merger, in 1902, we acquired the Milwaukee Works, a big factory that built tractors and engines. A lot of engines there on that floor. Here, if I can turn this up, I wonder. Kind of fun. I could do a whole video of just those things. We bragged that our engines could be used in 10 different places on the farm. Hopper cooled, there's like a bath of water around the engine, as I've seen on I go to a lot of the Red Power roundups with all the tractors, harvester tractors, and I've seen a lot of these engines run. We started to put Waukesha engines in our trucks in 1913. We use these things for, to power shops, tools and shops for irrigation. And here's, in that early truck of ours, the second series of trucks, that engine sits under a sloped hood, so it's in there backwards. Very odd, but it worked. There's another brand of our engines, Mogul engines. Early advertising. And here's at our tractor works in Chicago. So it seemed like wherever we built tractors, we were also building small engines. And sometimes our tractors and our trucks of the same era would share the same engine, which is a little odd, but apparently it worked. We bought engines from, 10 or 15 different companies. This is one of the big ones. And when our Akron, Ohio plant moved all the truck production to Fort Wayne, our engine and transmission and axle business stayed behind for at least a year. But here's a guy who, they pulled a test engine from a truck and are testing it to see what was going right and what was going wrong. I like that the guys worked in the plant in a vest and a white shirt and dress boots. This brand, the Type M engines, were very popular. And here's one in action with a hay press. I don't know, that looks like a messy business. And our tractors used anything, they would run on anything. Here, kerosene, gasoline, petrol, benzene, naphtha, distillate, and benzol. I mean, that was important to farmers. They wanted cheap fuel. And I think sometimes you had to make an adjustment or add something to the engine to make it work. But We had cylinder sleeves in our tractors starting in 1906, and for some reason, no truck maker put sleeves in trucks until we did in 1924. Engineers at our Fort Wayne plant figured it out, and it's a big deal. If you can repair an engine without pulling it, it saves time and money. Another of our engines, I think.
And that was the same engine, that was used in a 1020 tractor. If you see those two tin covers on the bottom side there, that's how you got in to work on the crankshaft.
Oh,
Because the bottom was all cast. That's how you put your rods in it and whatever.
right there on the side.
Yeah,
Yep.
but two big hand holes.
Yep.
Odd looking.
Were the sleeves kind of a first in the industry?
In trucks, yes. We were the first to do that. And why it took till 1924 when we were using them in tractors in 1906, I don't understand. But so in the S series, the speed truck series, we had designations. We had so many designations for trucks. So a 6-cylinder engine in a truck made it a truck model of an S26, and a 4-cylinder made the truck an S24. Here we advertised and sold engines all over the world. It's China and India. And they show little photos, on these big posters of all the different things you might do. This I don't know much about. Again, I'm not a technical guy, but I understand this Ricardo type engine was, a boost, would make for a little more power. And here's a portable steam engine, an experimental one. So we kept, for years and years, kept working with steam and never, only once used it for something. Here, we experimented before the Farmall, and after the Farmall, still experimenting with steam power. And I guess we like Waukesha engines, because at one point here in 1928, we ordered 10,000 of them. So they were a big partner. Here's that one instance when we built something that went into production that was steam powered. For the Milwaukee Road, we built steam engines that worked inside each truck, front and back, 2 different steam engines that powered a rail car. It worked. I can't believe it, but we finally found a use for our steam power. So almost all of our tractors, and I learned this at Red Power in Des Moines, I think a few years ago. No, in Grand Island, Nebraska. We used, in tractors, we almost always used an international engine. And this is one of the few exceptions. It was soon replaced by one of ours, but for a long time, it was a Waukesha in that tractor. Finally, in 1933, we introduced a diesel engine, but we'd been working on it, the idea of one, since 1916, and finally in 1926, we sent engineers to Germany to figure out how a diesel engine worked. They came back with an understanding and engineered a diesel engine for us. So we've been using diesel engines since 1938, gasoline engines from 1904 to 1984. And this is a special interest of George's. We needed a more powerful engine than we were building. So we turned to Hall Scott in California, and they sold us engines for a long time. We had a whole line of trucks that were labeled HS, International ATHS models for Hall Scott. Those are the trucks that were used to build the Hoover Dam. That's George's truck on the right. 80% of the trucks that built the Hoover Dam from 1930 to 33 were our international trucks, and they were all powered by a Hall Scott engine. George has the only surviving truck from the Hoover Dam built, and that's it there on the right.
And if you ever see a moving picture of the Boulder Dam story, that was an international movie. Nobody else did a moving picture. Lots of people did still photos, but the History Channel, whatever, will have a moving picture of the Boulder Dam story. That was an international produced movie. We were there for the first load. We were there for the last load.
Our trucks ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 3 years, often in 100-degree heat. And it really proved to the world that international trucks were durable and dependable. It was a great image builder for us. And our diesel engines had a unique way of starting. Everybody else had a little pony gasoline engine that would start to then start the diesel, and ours started on their own. And this was really a big deal. We advertised it all kinds of different ways. And this I found really interesting. I heard a story from a guy who was with the company in 1972 and went to the Soviet Union to sell our construction equipment. They were building that gas pipeline that runs to Europe today. And there was a test before the Soviet government would sign the deal. They said, bring some of your tractors out here, some of your construction equipment. And they went out to a field, and I think it was like 15 below zero. And they said, okay, if we're gonna buy these tractors from you, let me see them start now. And the sales guys on our team were like terrified. They thought it would work, but they weren't expecting a test in front of government officials. And sure enough, they all started, and they signed the deal, and one of them was for $40 million, and one of them was for $8.5 million. But so our engineers that built our engines were incredibly smart. And our engines were used for everything. Amusement rides, for boats, for sawmills, for cotton gins, These are some of the great ads I think we did. Cotton gins, power units. There's a cotton gin. I didn't know what a cotton gin looked like. And we promoted the portable engines, stationary engines everywhere. That's Soldier Field in Chicago that you probably know. Some of you Packer fans probably know it really well. And that's a big trade show on the right. I'm not sure which one. And, more selling of engines, outdoors, running.
Just turn yours off. Your speaker off. You just turn it off.
Did I turn it off?
Something.
Can you not hear me now?
No.
Now?
Use his mic.
Wait, now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Maybe the power is really low. Maybe it needs to be charged. I'm not sure. So we just, put diesel engines in our tractors, in our crawler tractors. It was really, everybody else was doing it, but we were doing it exceptionally well. Here's the Milwaukee Works. You saw it earlier. Here it is in 1937. Part of this presentation is just great photos of old stuff. And I'm really impressed with our archives. This story, in 1938, West Coast, is it gone again?
No. Mm-hmm. Why don't you try this? Here.
Shelby.
Here. See if we can use that.
I gotta move over then. This one works?
No.
It's me.
Test.
Hello.
Stop turning the switch off.
No, that one's out of power. So that one needs to be
Maybe I
charged.
should. Probably
It needs to
not.
be charged. Sorry, Shelby. So truck drivers on the West Coast, we're pulling double and triple trailers up over the mountains, ask the company, or ask their dealers for more power. And a couple of dealers got together, they extended the hood on one of our trucks, and they put a Cummins engine in it. Guys took it back on the road, loved it. They did a few more, and corporate finally found out what these dealers were doing and decided, yeah, we should be buying Cummins engines and putting them in trucks. And, so since 1938 to today, we have been great partners with Cummins. They've been really good to us and powering. What percentage, George, of the trucks you sell are powered by Cummins? Half? More than half?
Yeah, more than half. More than half for sure, because the smaller engines today are all Cummins powered, so, yeah.
How many horsepower was this first one?
Oh, just over 100. It wasn't very much. Just over 100, I believe. I'm not sure exactly what it was, because that was, I think, just a four-cylinder. And it would have been, if it was 125, I'd be very surprised.
We had a Diamond series of engines that went for years. Oh, this is working. Thank you. For years and years. We got into this Diamond series engines because during the Great Depression, Willys was selling an automobile. You can see there in the lower left, a Model 99, but they couldn't sell it. They were selling, a few here and a few there. And we went to them, International went to them and said, would you build a truck for us on that chassis? And they said, sure, we're not doing, we're not making any money here. Well, as soon as we started that business, that truck, the first truck, that Model D1, was our best-selling truck during the Depression. It was a great partnership. We eventually bought out all the rights to that truck, and it included an engine that became our first Green Diamond engine in 1938. And that engine lineup went on until 76 at least, maybe, got a little type problem there. So you know what, green, red, black, silver, blue diamond, and in Australia I learned just recently gold diamond engines, but those engines powered everything. Here's our foundry in 1938, built just in time, for World War II. At one point, the largest engine plant in the world. They had, in this plant, during the war, they had gun turrets on the roof of the plant because they were afraid that the Germans would bomb this plant because it was so key to all of our military truck business. It closed, the engine plant there closed in 2009, and the foundry in 2014. I got to go down there in 2014, and they said I could walk through the plant and put a Post-it note on anything I wanted for the collection. And as they were expecting, I walked through the plant, I put Post-it notes on photos they had framed on the wall and plaques, and I was walking out into the foundry itself, and there were 2 plant fire trucks there. And I thought to myself, well, what the hell? So I put a Post-it note on both fire trucks, and about a month later, they both showed up in our Melrose Park plant. So, they were closing it down, and I don't know, nice way to get trucks.
Do you still have them?
Yeah, we still have them. They're at Fort Wayne, where all our old trucks are. But we have 30 or 40 old trucks.
When did they set Melrose down?
And I got that in here somewhere, not too long ago. But I was there on the last day when they built the last engine. Yeah, during the war, they built engines for all parts of the military. Did I just go backwards? Sorry. Here's that our tractors had C series engines, and apparently very successful engines, because our tractors, our farmers, were just heroes. Bigger engines for bigger tractors. Here's, stationary power plants, again, out in the field, in the oil fields. We had, a business that would refurbish your engine for you. Or we made the blocks for that. Here's Green Diamond, in trucks, in the advertising on the left. Look, we're promoting a green, a red, and a blue diamond engine. 13 different truck engines we offered. Here, this engine was used in both cab over or cab forward trucks and half tracks during the war. Here we were buying engines from Continental Motors. We did that quite a bit, but especially during the war. Here's our Melrose Park plant. This plant was originally built during the war to build aircraft engines. After the after the war, we bought the plant from the government and started to build engines and construction equipment there, and power units like those.
What city is that?
Melrose Park, Illinois.
Chicago?
Chicago, yeah, suburb of Chicago.
Just down the road from the airport. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there were.
And it closed in November 2021.
Thank you.
They bought it from the government?
We bought it from the government. We also bought.
Initially?
Pardon me?
The government built it initially?
Yes, the government built it, and Buick ran it to build aircraft engines. And after the war, they didn't need it. And the same with our Tulsa bus plant. The bus plant built bombers in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and when that closed down, a company called Amtran bought it and was building buses, and we bought it from Amtran. It's a mile long. That Tulsa plant where we build buses is a mile long. And
Boy, about the bus company.
what? Yeah, we bought the bus company, and then the
Plant come along with it.
Right. What am I saying here? Blue diamond engine, I guess. Black diamond engine. And still we offered, LP gas. Our tractor plant in Louisville had a foundry and an engine plant. Just more advertising to power the world's work. Here we're building V8 engines in Indianapolis. Here in Australia, we had a truck plant, a tractor plant, and a construction equipment plant, and two of our plants had their own foundries and engine plants. Here's the other one. And then here, so remember, almost all of our tractors had our own engines in them, and here's one of those rare exceptions with a third-party engine, Continental here. It only, for a very short time, we used Continental engines when, we didn't have one that would fit. In the R series here, we used anybody's engine, it seems. All good engine companies.
Those Buddha engines actually had more horsepower than anybody else. A Buddha engine on propane was up to 400 horsepower.
You're coming in and out there.
Where was Buddha produced? Is that American
Yes, but I don't know where.
and diesel?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, now this, you can hear me? Mic on? Okay. This is one of my favorite goofy stories. When we were looking to build the Scout, we were looking for engines, and we considered this one. Fortunately, we decided against it, and we put them in our little Metromite delivery trucks. The Austin engines were so undependable that our dealers knew, and they stocked a multitude, of these Austin engines. And they were known to go out and do roadside engine swaps. When they would just like, they get a phone call and they go, oh yeah, okay, where are you? And they drive out with a new engine and put it in the truck. So,
They were a whole 55 horsepower as well.
So fortunately, they never went into Scouts. This, if you're tractor guys, you know this sad story. These models here were, the 460 and the 560 were rushed into production. They were new sheet metal and a new engine and not much else. Everybody loved them and bought them. The engine turned out to be way too powerful for the rear end. So they were blowing out rear ends in these tractors and just had a major recall. Took a long time to get the right rear end back in these tractors. So, we failed to test them very well. When we eventually get the rear ends fixed and everybody's got a new tractor, they figure out that the engines are so powerful that they shred the tires. That they can't run with the tires they've been using. So it took a year to get new tires engineered. And at the same time, John Deere is coming out with all their new products, and they left us in the dust. For the first time in 50 years or something, we were not the leader in the tractor business.
Where were that Farmall series of the 40s and 50s, were those all built in the Chicago facility?
No, Moline, I think. Didn't we have we had a big tractor plant over on
Rock Island.
Rock Island, yeah.
And were the tractors and the engines produced all in the same facility?
I think they were.
Was all-
I believe they were. What is my point here? The
817.
first turbo diesel. Yep. This is fun. This is George's truck on the left, with a Rolls-Royce engine in it. I mean, how cool is that? Well, apparently not that cool because George,
British over-engineered, British under-engineered, you call it whatever you want to call it. They were a piece of dead weight, is a polite way of putting it. We put them in trucks from 1959 to 4 years, so 63. I have an Englishman that helps me with my with the restorations, but also maintenance of my 60 trucks that are in my toy shop. And he insisted that we try and start this thing up. And I said, no, I'm going to take it out and put a 250 Cummins in it, which most of the other trucks that were built in that body style had little Cummins in them. So I argued with him for a few months, and finally I said, you got 3 days. You go out and start that truck in 3 days, or it's coming out of there. So the second day, after lunch, he said, come on out with your camera. So he's got water in it, got fuel and whatever else, filters changed, and hits the throttle. It smokes a little bit, smoked for maybe a couple of minutes, and it's never smoked since. And the damn thing runs like a top, and we did nothing to the engine other than paint it, clean it and paint it. We did a whole bunch to the rest of the truck, but I have the only one that I know that runs in a truck. I know of 7 others that are in trucks still, but none of them run. So I got horse lucky is the only way of putting it. My dad had dealers that wouldn't fly on a jet that had a Rolls-Royce engine because they'd sold some Rolls-Royce diesels. I mean, there's many stories from a generation older than me, and none of them, not one of them is good.
Yeah, but they made a great Rolls-Royce Merlin.
Sure, but they didn't make great diesels. They were just, ceramic cylinder liners. These things, when they come out, it had ceramic cylinder liners. What the hell were they thinking?
And now you also have a truck plant in Chatham, Ontario?
Yes, yeah. we
Yeah,
have
they
truck
did,
plant.
and it's gone now too.
No, I know, but as a kid, I went through that plant.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
you bet. Great place. Those trucks with the Rolls-Royce diesels were actually built in Hamilton, where they built the construction pay haulers and whatever. They were kind of had a sub-assembly area over there that they did the Rolls-Royce installs.
Okay, so like the cylinder sleeve story, where we had them for a long time before we put them in trucks, same is true with our diesel engines. We put them in our tractors, we put them in our crawler tractors, construction equipment, but we didn't put them in any of our trucks until 1960. I'm not sure why, but it's been a great success ever since. This is a story I can't believe, really, but I keep hearing about it. We were looking for an engine, again, for our Scout, the first Scout. Couldn't find one. We were looking for a 4-cylinder engine. So somebody with the company took our 8-cylinder engine block, removed half of it, and created a 4-cylinder engine. I'm not sure, George, is it true that that engine runs a little rough at certain speeds? Or?
If you want your butt vibrated, you take. I've got a couple of 4-cylinders, and they never did anything to take the torsional vibration out. And I've got one in a Metro and one in a Scout and one in a C99 pickup. So I guess I got 3 of them. But but reliable, same as the rest of 304s, 345s, very reliable engines, and everything on the right-hand side of that engine, the exhaust manifold, valve covers, head, all that stuff is the same. So it was an easy job once you got the casting of the block done.
So you didn't get 2 for 1 by cutting the engine.
No. And we used, we had, after the war, we got into all kinds of side businesses, including, lawn tractors, and worked with Kohler. I know Kohler for their plumbing fixtures, but I know they make engines. I was behind, a truck from Home Depot with one of those forklifts that sticks into the back of the flatbed and comes out, and it said powered by Kohler just recently. So the first U.S. built direct injection diesel engine. I don't know anything about that, George, but the first direct injection.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Can you read that?
Yeah, I can't help you. Yeah, can't help you.
806.
Yeah, the tractor, yeah. In 1963 at Melrose Park, they started to get computer-like. That was a long way. Yeah, how are we doing?
12 minutes.
Oh, so they started to use this punch tape, paper tape, and it eventually ran the whole line. We used AMC engines in Scouts and Metros in a pickup that we built in Turkey. We did it when we, needed cheaper engines, or we needed engines we just didn't have.
And we also put 401 V8s in pickups and travelalls, half-ton pickups and travelalls in 1973 and 74 when we couldn't supply enough of our own 392s.
We experimented with gas
Turbines.
gas turbine engines, and like everybody else did at the time. I don't think anybody else did it with a tractor, but everybody did it with a truck. And they just burned too much fuel. But there were some production things we built, like that turbine engine for the boat for NASA.
TV.
You know, V8 engines now. Lodestar. Okay. George can explain this, but this is another. Remember back the Model H in 1915, the engine was put in backwards to fit under the hood. Well, here, the engine in this Fleet Star is cocked sideways to fit under the hood.
So most Cummins engines were taller than we had a truck for them in a lot of cases, especially on a Fleet Star. The Fleet Star was a very popular truck, but to put a Cummins in there, you actually literally had to take the engine, turn it on its right-hand side a little bit to get it to fit underneath the cab without lifting the cab up and whatever. They didn't want to start lifting cabs yet. They did soon after this, but it kind of looks odd when you pop the hood and the thing's sitting over on its right-hand side.
Did most of those come with Detroit?
A lot of them did. They would have had a 671 in them, but
But what?
a fair amount of Cummins though too.
The 671 wasn't cocked.
No, you know, it's shorter engine, not as tall.
So when the Scout 2 came out, you know, we were starting to offer V8 power for a Scout, and that's what those guys were all looking for. So it was pretty smart that we moved with the times. Just another photo of the Indianapolis plant in '71. This is an odd story, I think, that our V800 was moderately successful. It worked in tractors, construction equipment, and trucks. And it proved that, you know, the truck, putting an engine in a truck was much more stressful on the engine than a tractor who would be on and off, where a truck is driving all the time. Tractors are running, and then they sit for a few days, and then they run again. Same with construction equipment. So that was a theory that proved out with this engine. That engines didn't last as long in a truck. This is a fun story. California was looking for clean air solutions in 1974. We developed a steam-powered engine that somebody else put in an automobile, and it worked. You know, it's in the Peterson Museum in LA if you've ever been there, and it's part of Jay Leno's collection. And this is our star engine of all time, the DT466. It was first used in tractors and construction equipment, and then in trucks. And it was just the engine of all engines. We sold more of these than anything else. Here's a little more of the story, but you know, heavy duty, wet sleeve, turbo tech to the medium duty market. You can hear those engines. I hear them on school buses. It's a certain sound that no other engine makes. There were different versions of it, you know, pump line nozzle, new generation, Huey, you know, all know Huey. I think I'll get to that here. And here, what?
No. Yeah, no, it's dead. It's gone.
So here's engines we bought from Nissan. Now this is an illustration, the guys in the pink jumpsuits, a look at the future from 1977. This painting was in our annual report. And you look on the right, under that rocket-shaped truck, the bay is labeled electric. So in 1977, we were thinking about electric power for trucks that obviously we're doing today. Here's the DT466 in a combine. Here's we had everybody making engines, and engineering engines, and all our different departments, and it finally was consolidated to one place in Melrose Park. And this is part of that story. In '64, we had 11 engine plants in 8 countries. In '79, we had 7 engine plants in 6 countries. And finally, in '89, we had 2 engine plants in 1 country. So we had to get it together, and we finally did. We worked with Cummins a lot. This was a matched engine with truck thing that got incredibly great gas mileage.
That was an L10 that come out, which was so much more advanced than what a 671 was, really what it replaced. I love those little engines. I sold lots of little L10s, and they were very good for my customers. Not good for my shop, but very good for customers.
And we got more and more into computer graphics as time went on. This is a story that sorry, yeah, I got 5 minutes. We sold 5 million engines to Ford over, I don't know, 37 years or something. Really remarkable. Here's the story from Jack Allen, one of the company's presidents. Navistar built 185,000 engines for Ford every year for 27 consecutive years. I mean, when it was just crazy that the blocks came from Indianapolis, sent to Melrose Park, and shipped to Ford. It was a big deal. When the company was struggling to survive, this brought $2 billion a year to the company's bottom line. So this was a big deal.
International was the largest engine producer under 350 horsepower in the diesel engine business for many years. Yeah. Largest in the world. So, and mainly because of that engine.
Okay, I'm going to try to go fast and finish here in a few minutes. But here's the last gasoline engine in '84. Here's the Navistar era. We were we were the leader in medium and light trucks for engines. Here we got into more CAD drawings. There's the clean diesel, the smokeless diesel engine, especially popular in buses. We made blocks for Cummins, which is kind of funny, but we made blocks for Cummins. They sold those engines to Dodge. All the thousands or the millions of engines that we sold, the DT466, we gave Perkins the right to sell them. They gave Detroit Diesel the right to sell them, and they were sold all over the world. Here's the Huey, the electronic injection thing that, what's the story, George? There, a guy showed him a sample during that time period.
Engineer at the engine plant showed me a pin drop. He could make that injector move 1,000 times.
During that time, the pen drop.
During the pin drop. So you could do a split shot injection. You could do it a little bit before, a little bit at the time, and a little bit afterwards of the power stroke.
Absolutely.
Made a whole bunch of difference in the how clean the burn was.
Yeah, radical innovation. We worked with Cummins on things like the Wild thing. We sold engines. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, okay. We sold engines for boats. We sold engines to Mercury, or parts of engines to Mercury. We sold engines in Belarus, thousands of them. They signed the contract, the company president, Lukashenko, at Melrose Park, went to dinner with Mayor Daley in Chicago, if you all know the famous old Mayor Daley. He greeted them all, had dinner with them, and got up to speak, and he said, "Now, first, tell me where the hell is Belarus?" So, there's more of the clean engine, green diesel. There's that Ford story again. We get a lot of our engines from MAN in Germany. MAN is now, MAN is part of our group that we work with. We did, hybrid things. what did we sell here to the, I don't know, we sold a lot of trucks. Oh, with the DT-466 to the post office. We sold trucks from our plant in South America to other truck makers in South America. There at MWM. Bought them in 2005, sold that company in 2022. That's our first engine plant in Alabama. There's the last pour in the engine plant in Indianapolis. We sold engines from South America to other truck makers. We had a big deal going in China, put $100 million into that thing, and then sold it all to Cummins a few years later. I don't know what the story is here. Just an important engine in our series. Oh, the N13. Okay. We did electric trucks back in 2010. Here's our downfall. We can't talk about this much, but it nearly killed the company. Don't say it, George. Don't say it.
It was an AMF.
Everybody should be kicked in the ass every now and again just to remember what it feels like to be kicked in the ass.
And it was a bad time.
Still a 37-year relationship, it was $1 billion lawsuit.
Yeah, it was a bad time. This is the oddest combination. This is a DT Max Force. So DT was our best engine ever, and Max Force was our worst. And this is a combination of the two. We tried, compressed natural gas. We ended the production of our V8 engines here, I think. This is an engine a few years ago that was just brilliant, but we're doing even better here. We're doing even better today. Here is us as part of Traton, Volkswagen. And then here we're doing electric trucks and buses. And here is the newest. George can talk to this.
This thing is going to be a game changer for the industry. Absolute game changer. This thing gets better fuel mileage. I mean, we're seeing, the company will guarantee you 5% better fuel mileage. We're seeing easy 10, and in most cases, we're in the 15% range for better fuel mileage than what anybody had before. It is so quiet. It's got 1,850 foot-pounds of torque at 950 RPM. So you run the engine just down and off an idle, going down the road. It's and the transmission, the T14 is an automated shift, electric shift transmission. It's like driving an automatic. It is smooth, no harsh shifts, 3 different power modes. This is no EGR valve, so there's no exhaust going through the engine again. This is getting the truck engine business fun again.
Is that man-derived or Scania?
Scandia.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
How many miles per gallon pulling a van or reefer heavy?
Well,
11, 12?
but that 6.5 is pulling 150,000 pounds on a Super Bee with 5-axle trailer. So you put a lighter load and less weight, you're going to be up well over 6.5. 7.5 miles a gallon Canadian is not going to be out of the question.
What's that convert to, US?
You're about 20%. Your gallons about 20% less than ours.
And this is our lineup of trucks and engines today. And the markets we serve, and thank you. I think we made it.